welcome to Scrollin', a podcast about the Elder Scrolls Online. I'm Ket.
I'm Davius.
This is episode number 39. So there was a maintenance patch this Monday, which was just yesterday for us from the time that we're recording this. A whole bunch of bug fixes, which is what we were expecting. Most importantly, Davius, you can play your werewolf now, right?
Yeah. He's playable. Yes, he is playable.
They didn't totally fix it. You didn't get your skill points back, right?
You didn't get your skill points back, and you have to re-level your skill. So it's the Soul Trap's the other skill, correct?
Yeah, Soul Trap and Werewolf. Yeah, the progression is totally reset on them, right?
Yeah, so you've got to re-level them up, which to level it up to the morph, no problem. That was a couple minutes. But to actually level that morph skill all the way back to level 4.
To rank that morph all the way up?
Yeah, it takes a minute.
So. Takes a while. I wonder, because they said, like, they're still working on it, right? They've acknowledged that, okay, the fix isn't all the way fixed, and the second part of the fix is going to come later, right?
If it's another 2 weeks, then I'll probably have it leveled up by 2 weeks, but and then the skill points, I actually had 0 skill points because all mine got stolen away, and so I actually did have to go grind 2 skill points real quick, but that wasn't too bad. On that character, you had a lot of opportunities for skill points. I think I did 2 public dungeons real quick or something and got them back.
Yeah. Well, at least you can play your werewolf.
He is playable. That is true. That is very true.
Good. Another important bug they fixed was the light attack weaving bug. That's the one that I was complaining about the most. So that's the one where projectiles would cause your light attack animation to be delayed. And so especially for ranged characters, light attack weaving just felt awful. It was really, really bad. And they fixed that. I've confirmed, I've logged in, I've been playing with ranged Magicka characters, and light attack weaving feels totally normal again, so that's really nice. This one is an issue from way back, actually. It's not even a bug from this patch, but the health bar issue in Battlegrounds. We've seen this one lots of times.
It's a bad one.
It's a real bad one. So when you're in Battlegrounds, I see it in Imperial City as well. But your teammates will just be missing their health bars, and when you're in the heat of battle, it makes it really difficult, like, for your mind to register that that's your ally standing right there. So it makes it hard to just strategize and work as a unit, especially if you're playing with randoms. So I'm glad that that's fixed. And we did a handful of Battlegrounds last night, and I did not notice that health bar issue happening at all. So might actually be fixed.
That's a great fix.
Another one that I'm happy to see is that the vendor screen, the bug where you're selling items to a vendor and then nothing was sorted properly. You know how normally all your like ornate gear is at the very top, like all the stuff you're probably going to sell to the vendors at the very top. The last couple of weeks it's just been kind of all over the place as far as how it's sorted, but they fixed that and it's back to normal now. So that's good.
That's actually one that I didn't realize how much I would miss until it was gone. And
yeah.
It was like, oh man, we had it so good.
Yeah, it's such a minor thing, but then when it's gone, it's like, man, I really would like to have that back now.
I would love to have that back.
Bunch of other just kind of minor fixes. You can read over the maintenance patch notes version 6.2.6 if you want to see all the details, but I think those are kind of the important ones. A bunch of crash fixes, which I've experienced some crashing myself, so hopefully there will be less crashing now as well.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, this is the Markarth patch, right? We're a couple of weeks into it, and Davius, word has it that you have 100% cleared the Reach. Is this true?
100% cleared.
Wow.
Completely done the entire map.
They said it couldn't be done.
That was probably the first person in ESO to do
it. Yeah, guaranteed. For sure. 2 weeks in.
Totally the first person to do it.
Well, I mean, what are your general thoughts, man? How was it?
I mean, obviously, it's Skyrim based, and really this one kind of started steering clear of the Nords a little bit, still in Skyrim, but, we've talked in the past how it's more about these Reach people. But I really liked it. I was a fan of Western Skyrim and Greymoor's quest, And I know there was, I think there was fair criticism of that one, that, you know, maybe that quest line was slightly, you kind of saw what was coming. That didn't bother me so much. I still thought it was a good story, still enjoyed doing the quests. But I really think they hit it out of the park with this one. Obviously, I'm not going to do any spoilers or anything like that, but it sounds weird to say, but it took kind of like a really dark turn. Like, the quest line got real serious for a while.
I've still have barely gotten into the main quest, and I've hardly done any side quests or any of that stuff, so I still have a ways to go. Have you ran into any, like, cool rewards or cosmetics, skins, dyes, anything like that? Like, if someone's been kind of putting off doing these quests, maybe they're not sure they're going to do these quests or not, but maybe there's some cool cosmetic thing they're sleeping on. Is there, like, incentive for that? I'm asking for a friend.
I would say the coolest cosmetic for me personally is that you do get a really cool green dye. I think that I can't remember if you get that from Vatistran or if you get it from the Reach. I'm pretty sure you get it from the Reach quest line.
Okay.
You get this green dye, and it's really, really bright. It is kind of one of the metallic-y colors, but there's not a whole lot of, like, really green metallics. You can throw this green dye on some armor, and it really can make armor pieces pop. And so I thought that was cool. It's kind of a new, unique dye color. Other than that, I can't remember. I can't think of anything that really stands out to me. Okay. Obviously, you get some titles and things like that, but titles aren't huge for me. It's nice to have them, but that green dye is probably the coolest one. That's definitely worth getting for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I like collecting the dyes, so that might entice me. So let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about what we've been doing this week. So, of course,
nobody's gonna be able to guess what we've been doing.
Yeah, it may blow your mind, but we've been doing quite a bit of Battlegrounds this week. It's been kind of the main thing we've been up to. We had a pretty good goon night last Friday night. Grizzly Khan, shout out, joined us. We had a little 3-man squad and had some pretty good success. You know, we did some stomping, we got stomped, and we had some other matches that were, like, really intense, really neck and neck. We kind of had the full experience, really, and I honestly feel like all three of us were pulling our weight really nicely. Had some good teamwork happening. Yeah,
it was some really good matches, and we got a lot of them in there. Like, queue times weren't bad. It was good all around.
Yeah, it was good. Like, Friday night, things were popping. It was a good time. My only complaint is, I wrote this down. Needs more deathmatch. It is so rare to get a deathmatch. I swear we get Capture the Relic like every other match.
Oof, that's my least favorite one.
Yeah, mine too. And then in between that, it's like Chaos Ball or Crazy King. It's like all these modes that try to make you run around and separate your team, and it's hard to actually, like, function as a unit. And I've seen, like, on the official forums on the Battlegrounds section there, it's a common complaint. Like, it's great that grouping's back, but, you know, when we're in a group, those players that are grouping up, all they want is deathmatch. They don't want any of the other modes. But deathmatch seems to be the one that we get the least. So I understand maybe they can't separate all these different queues because then queue times would take forever. So I would love it if they would just wait deathmatch. Like, maybe you have a 50% chance or 30% or whatever the magic number is. You know, that percent chance to get deathmatch versus anything else, at least for the group queue, I think would be really nice.
Yeah, I think I'm 100% with you. How many types are there? There's 5 different types of Battlegrounds, right?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Man, just so many Capture the Relics. That's just that's all.
It's seriously, I don't understand why we're getting Capture the Relic as much as we are. It's like every other match, I swear.
Yeah. We did some Battlegrounds last night, and it was, I bet that was, you know, we may have done 7 Battlegrounds, and it felt like 5 of them were Capture the Relic.
Yeah, and it's annoying too, because, like, we'll be picking out our characters, and I'll be like, all right, sweet, I'm going to play a healer. You grab a damage dealer, that'll be perfect. And then we'll get a Capture the Relic, and it's like, all right, well, I guess me being a tanky healer, I'll sit and protect our relic, and you being a fast-running damage dealer, I guess you should go try to steal the relic. So we're never actually together the whole match. We're not actually playing together at all. We're, like, on the opposite sides of the map almost the whole time.
You had kind of mentioned, you know, one thing that kind of really would make that capture the relic cool is if they just broke it down to 2 teams. Like if instead of 3 teams, if they just made it 2 teams, it would kind of force the fighting more.
Yeah,
it was
2 teams of 6.
Yeah,
could
2
be
teams
cool.
of 6. Or even if they just eliminated one of the teams. If it's just 2 teams of 4, I still think it would be more prone to actually be more of a competitive match. Whereas the 3, it just feels like the whole map's kind of running in a circle. And everybody's kind of just running away from each other.
Yeah, that game, like Capture the Flag, that's like a 2-team game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of how it's supposed to work. So anyway, we need more deathmatch. Another kind of thing I've been noticing lately, we were talking about this a little bit last night, is we don't see nearly as many Magsorks as we used to. Magsorks used to be like absolutely dominant in PvP in general, but especially in Battlegrounds, man. They just ruled everything. And we do see them now, like they're out there, but they're not in nearly as many numbers as they used to be. And I feel like they're not as much of a threat as they used to be either.
This one kind of blew my mind when you pointed it out to me because, I mean, how long did we all fear the Magsorks in Battlegrounds?
We used to despise them. Oh, yeah. You made a Magsork? Don't talk to me. Get out of here. Your class plays the game for you.
When you hit this on me last night, it was like, oh my gosh, like Magsork is not the king of Battlegrounds anymore. Not only are they really not the kings of it, but they're kind of rare to see. Yeah,
and when you do see them, they're good players and they can absolutely be a threat, but it's not like it used to be where it's like, oh man, there's a Sork, watch out. Mm-hmm. I think a big part of that is that stamina specs in general have been brought up so much. Like certain armor sets like Venomous Smite, Unleashed Terror, those are some of the strongest sets you can use in Battlegrounds, and those are stamina sets. And so Magsork, the toolkit that they had back in their heyday, they still have that exact same toolkit, but it's like everyone else has been elevated so much and they're still kind of stuck in that time.
Didn't they nerf the crystal frags a little bit?
I don't think so. There was a patch where it kind of sounded like it was getting nerfed, but I don't think it was really actually.
Okay, maybe that's just what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it's like there's been so much complaining about how OP Sorks were for so long, and then it's like other classes have been getting these little buffs here and there, patch after patch, just a little buff here, a little buff there, just bit by bit by bit, but not Magsork, really.
Yeah.
They just kind of have been left, and I feel like seems like maybe they've been surpassed a bit right now. And I jumped on my Magsork, which might have just been the build, and maybe I can try a different build, but I was struggling on a Magsork, and it used to be kind of like I said a minute ago, like it used to be the class just played itself. It was like you would get hate whispers because everyone would accuse you of being carried by the class, which is kind of true. So it was just interesting.
Yeah, a big part of that could be just there's so much more damage in Battlegrounds. That's another thing that we didn't really think about, but there's so much more damage. That's really kind of where Magsorks kind of thrived. Is we used to always joke that they stole all the kills because they kind of had those executes, and I don't even think Magsorks are really as good at that as they used to be, just because there's so much more damage now that really most other classes are really capable of finishing off the kill themselves.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, it's just interesting. It used to be Magsorks as far as the eye can see, and now it's like you might see one or two in an entire match. They still have value. It's not to say I don't think they're bad by any means. They can provide a lot of ranged pressure, which can be extremely valuable at times. It's just interesting to see, and I don't even know if I would necessarily say they're underpowered now. Like maybe they're just simply balanced. I'm not sure. It's something I kind of want to keep my eye on. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting though is on the flip side of that, stamina sorcerers are everywhere.
This is probably what happened.
All over the place.
All the Magsorks just turned into Stamsorks.
They jumped ship. Yeah, they saw Unleashed Terror and Venomous Smite, and they said, I want to be a Stamsork with Streak and wear both of those sets and just streak around the map and rack up the kills.
Now you do see that as much as you used to see the Magsorks. That checks out.
Yeah, and I really do think Stamsork either is or they're becoming the new flavor of the month or flavor of the patch. It's been Stamina Necromancer for the past several months has been the hotness. Last year during Elsewhere, the Year of the Dragons, MagPlar, that was the hot thing that everyone was playing. I feel the winds shifting towards towards StamSorc right now. I'm seeing a whole lot of them, and I really do think one of the primary reasons is just those two specific armor sets work so well on a StamSorc. Unleash Terror, Venomous Smite, you can put both of those on and then just streak through a group. It's an unblockable AoE stun. Everyone in that group was just stunned, and they have two extremely powerful procs on them. So you're just like a Dawnbreaker or a Spin to Win away from, maybe wiping that group. They also have Dark Deal. That's an ability that has always given them a pretty nice advantage. And I think with the way things are right now, having that nice, reliable, really big burst heal that also gives you a lot of resources, I think it's something not every stamina spec has. And it really gives them a leg up. StamSorcs, they're everywhere right now, and it's never a bad time to play a StamSorc. We've said that before. If you've never played a StamSorc, make yourself a StamSorc. They are a blast. Even if they are the flavor of the month, it doesn't matter. Just jump on the hype train. It's super fun to play a StamSorc.
It's such a fun class to play.
Yeah, absolutely. So, seeing a lot of StamSorcs, also seeing that Dwemer Automaton monster set everywhere. I can't land a hit on anyone because all my attacks land on that Dwemer Automaton every time, it seems.
That's the new Petsorc right there, is that stinking automaton wheeling around in Battlegrounds right now.
Oh, man. It's like, 1 and 2 players are wearing that set, I swear. It's everywhere. And aside from that, it's the proc meta. We are fully in the proc meta. It hasn't gone anywhere. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. So adapt or die, I say.
I actually really enjoying Battlegrounds right now. Obviously, bringing group Battlegrounds back to me, it has really leveled the playing field. The proc meta was getting to be pretty brutal there for a while, where it was just so much death and it was so hard to stay alive. But just simply by bringing group Battlegrounds back, now that these support characters are coming back full swing, I really feel like it brought balance back to Battlegrounds. You can live through these crazy damage and these crazy procs, and you've got teammates that are, can do some cleansing and things like that. And I think it's really, kind of brought the balance back up where I really am having a lot of fun with where Battlegrounds are at right now.
Yeah, it non-CP PvP for the past several months has felt kind of bad, really. Like when you get into the sweaty matches with a bunch of good players who are utilizing all those really good cheesy sets, the balance has felt really out of whack. Like people die way too easily. It's extremely volatile. And so, being able to run around with some support builds, like some guaranteed group support, alleviates that a ton. And it actually feels like you can breathe a little bit and move around and have a little bit of fun in Battlegrounds without just dying immediately. So on the topic of support builds, Davius, I know that you've made some updates to your healer main, your MagPlar, and I've seen firsthand it seems to be working pretty good. Do you want to talk a little bit and tell us what's going on with this guy?
Yes, as everyone knows, this is my main, Davius, same name as me. He's come out of retirement, back to Battlegrounds, back to full support.
No longer strictly a PvE tank.
he's stepping down from the PvE tank role. He still can do it, but he's back to Battleground support is his main role, and I am loving it. His new build is, he's always been a unique fella with his build setups. And this new build that I have on him is not really any different. But as you said, really got to test this. Really haven't tested it as much as I'd like to, but we got some good testing in. And every match that I've thrown him in now, he's hitting over 1 million heals, and so that's right where I left him. On support and
yeah, that's the old Davius we remember. At least 1 million Davius. Every match.
Yep, that's his goal. He's got to hit 1 million in heals. That's where he has to be. He still does no damage, so those heals are nothing. But so just kind of dive into the build and kind of the strangeness of it. I kept Choke Thorns. He had Choke Thorns before, but the Choke Thorns 2-piece monster set, still using that.
It's very strong.
Yeah, very, very strong.
Also, FYI, for people who don't know, you can bash the choke thorn and make it stop healing people. So.
That is true. That's always a bummer when people take out.
Most people don't know that, but it can happen.
Don't spread that. Don't talk about
you see Davius out there, just bash that little choke thorn, and you got him.
That's actually, though, it's a bummer when people bash it, but it is nice because he can absorb. Sometimes people accidentally will throw their abilities on the choke thorn. So every now and then he'll work as a body block, which can help out as well. So two-piece choke thorn. He has the mythic, the one-piece pearls of Elnafay, which this works just as perfect as I imagined it would. It is just the coolest mythic item. It's crazy to me that they released this mythic item because I can't think of a more perfect mythic item for Davius' setup. It is just made for him. He always has kind of struggled with recovery. He kind of finds recovery in unique ways. And so I'm almost always under the 30%. Just a reminder, this is the one that if you cast a healing ability while in combat and your dominant resource is under 30%, you gain 5 ultimate. And it's no cooldown. So as long as I'm under 30% resource and I'm just spamming healing abilities, it's just 5 ultimate every single time. And it is just the craziest ultimate gain that I've ever dealt with. And it just works.
You were telling me you're just sitting there watching your ultimate meter and you just visibly see it shoot up over and over and over.
Yeah, I mean, it was to the point where when we were in Battlegrounds and I wanted the ultimate, I could just spam an ability, usually radiating regeneration because it's kind of a low cost. But I would just spam that 5 or 6 times just to get to my ultimate. Just real quick spams of those, get to my ultimate, pop the ultimate, and then kind of go back. It works just as well as I thought it would, and I am very, very happy with the results of that. So 2-piece choke thorn, 1-piece pearls of Elnafay. I'm still running the Shulk set, so 5-piece Shulks. That one just gives the heroism, so just kind of more ultimate gaining at all time. And then this is kind of where it gets a little unique. So I have 1-piece trainee, which that's just a nice health buff. And then I have 3-piece Naga Shaman. And the point for this is that the 2-piece buff and the 3-piece buff is 4% healing taken and 4% healing done. And so it's just strictly a straight buff to my percentage of heals, which are huge on Davius because that's really all he's doing. And so that kind of works out to a 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, which is it's been one of my
mixed up as possible,
as just as mixed up and messy as possible, but it works. It really does work great. It's he has the ritual Mundus, and I run 7 divines, so it's just all about buffing that heal percentage. And so when you add that 4%,
oh wow, you don't have any M-Pen whatsoever?
No M-Pen, just all divines.
So just base crit resist is all you're rolling with, 1300, however much it is.
Yep, 1350 crit resist. He is still wearing all heavy. It's a 5-1-1 heavy build, and it's like we said, it works out really well. He's been pretty cool to play with lately.
Nice, yeah, he definitely makes my characters feel pretty much invincible whenever we're running alongside each other. So I'm glad to see that dude back in action. Davius is always the one where it's like maybe I'm having a bad day and you want to make me feel better, and you're like, hey, why don't I just grab Davius and you get one of your damage characters and that'll make you feel better. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that sounds good.
There's too many deaths in this last match. Let's play a match where let's lower that death count total.
Yeah. Well, let's keep talking about support builds, because I've been thinking about my Magic and Necromancer pretty much nonstop all week. This is where most of my energy has been going into, a considerable amount of energy, mind you. And I think that should be a disclaimer before I start talking about this build. If you're hearing me talk about this build and you're thinking, that sounds really cool, I want to make that build. Well, just keep in mind, it is a cool build. It works really well, but it's going to take some time and effort and probably a lot of gold to put it together. I can tell you firsthand. My banker, Tithys, not happy with me at all right now.
He's been furious all week.
I won't get into details about exactly why it's such a pain, but just trust me, you've been warned. So this is a Magicka Necromancer healer. She's an Argonian. I named the character Despair, which I think is an awesome name for a necromancer.
Great name.
2 pieces, Mighty Chudan, of course.
Surprise, surprise. Nobody saw it coming.
5 pieces Ice Furnace, which comes from Direfrost Keep. And 5 pieces Savara's Scales. I know that's a weird one, but we'll get to that. So Ice Furnace, it's a heavy armor set, but this is a light armor setup. So for Ice Furnace, I'm using the jewelry and 2 armor pieces. So we're going 5 light, 2 heavy. Ice Furnace, whenever you deal frost damage, then this procs and deals like 1800 flame damage to everyone within 8 meters of that initial target. So that's a 16 meter total area. And it just has a 1 second cooldown. And so I'm using Wall of Frost, and of course I always make sure that's on the ground anytime we're fighting. That's something I've always done with this character. And so as long as Wall of Frost is touching someone, anyone, then this set is going to proc and hit everyone in the area for 1800 or so flame damage every second. So that's just like some easy AoE damage just to apply to everyone that's in the area. And then Savara's Scales. So you may think of this as a medium armor set, and it typically comes in medium armor, but you can get it in light armor. And when I talk about this this build being difficult to put together, that's the part I'm talking about. Getting Savara's Scales in light armor, very difficult, very expensive. But I finally did it, and it works really well. So the 2 through 4 piece bonus, it's just max stats, max health, magicka, and stamina. And then the 5 piece bonus, whenever you deal damage of any kind, it releases this explosion of poison damage with it that hits everyone within 5 meters of your original target. So that's a 10 meter total area. It's another pretty big area. And then everyone that it hits gets this really strong poison dot. It's like 1900 damage per second for 6 seconds. And then the set has an 8 second cooldown, so you'll have 2 seconds of downtime there. But really, between the 2 of those, it's really just Wall of Frost is all it takes to keep both of those sets proccing on cooldown, and it's hitting everyone in that area. They both hit a pretty huge area. And this character, it's always been all about just creating this walking disaster zone that nobody wants to come anywhere near, right? I've always been using Wall of Frost and the Remote Totem for crowd control. And just with those abilities already, nobody wants to get anywhere near this character. And with these extra layers of damage, it's like 3,700 damage per second that's just constantly around me all the time. It's a really, really nice little layer of pressure being added on top of the crowd control. And of course, the incredibly powerful heals. This has always been a super strong healer. The previous iteration of this build, one of the things that made it kind of special was that the heals were just astronomical. That really hasn't been sacrificed at all. The healing tooltips are pretty much in the same ballpark as they were before. So super duper strong healer with all the crowd control and this AoE pressure. This is going to help all of our damage dealers secure those kills, or a lot of those kills count as mine. You know, like a lot of the times these procs will be the finishing blow on a couple of people. You know, like I think one of the matches last night I had like 12-0, you know, and I wasn't even like focusing anyone.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is what you just said there, is that really the heals have not been sacrificed at all. Despair's always been a great, really strong heal support character that throws down all this just nasty AoE, you know, this nasty crowd control stuff. And now you've added in like the third tier that seemingly like it was missing because it was a strong healer and strong CC. And you've added in this AoE damage. And so it's really just, this character has turned in such a force to be reckoned with. I mean, there's just so much AoE. you saw really high damage numbers. Like you said, kill counts. People get caught up in that AOE, so it gets kill counts. Still doing crazy great heals for the team. This character is really kind of taken the next step to just a whole nother level with this new setup.
It's a BG awesome number generator is what this build is. Like we had a match last night that she went 700,000 in both damage and heals, and we haven't even, this character hasn't reached the high MMR yet. I think once we get into those really sweaties, like I think double millions are going to be pretty common for this character.
We haven't. That's the other thing, is that we haven't been able to do a whole lot of testing, and so I feel like we really haven't even scratched the surface. But like you said, there was 700k damage, 700k heals. Almost every other match was at least 600k, 600k, 500k, 500k, and a lot of those were capture the relics or flat the land grab games. So I don't even think we've gotten into a death match yet.
Not with this character. I don't think I have.
I really think this is going to be the character that hits the 1 million. It really just seems like that's definitely something that's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, it's a really fun build. Like I said, a big pain and a big dent in the bank to put together. But I think this is going to be a character that I spend a lot of time with this patch. It's going to be hard deciding between this one or my MagDen, because those are two kind of support characters who also deal damage. I really like both of them. But yeah, that's the MagCro Despair. We ran around last night with this build along with your Werewolf, since you can finally play your Werewolf, the Gift of the Rift, Nightblade Werewolf.
Gift of the Rift Werewolf. Yes, I've been waiting since all these changes to get on my Werewolf, and the Werewolf bug only built the anticipation up more.
Yeah. So was it extra sweet now that you've had to wait this long to finally play with your Werewolf?
It was a little bit. I'm still bummed that we couldn't get into a death match, but
they were all death match last night.
That's right. But yeah, I mean, it really was just a great night of testing. We both were testing. This is the character I think you ran Despair the entire night, and I ran my Werewolf the entire night. Yeah. And we even kind of figured out, they're maybe not even the best pairing, just because.
Yeah, I don't think they're the best pair, but we had some good moments for sure.
Yeah. And they still worked out really well, but the testing was great. I think they both had great results. This Werewolf build is just wild. It's all stats. It's the Shackle Breaker for max stats, along with Hulking Draugr for max stats. And then I do use Mighty Chudan. You'll be thrilled. That's how I know you love the build setup right there.
Best build I've ever heard.
But it's it just gets crazy stats. Gets up to 50,000 stamina in the Werewolf build, along with right around 4,000 weapon damage, and so.
He shreds.
I'm
like sitting there alongside you and my healer and just watching you just seriously like a lawnmower just going through these groups.
He does a lot of damage. Now, it's not all fun and games. You definitely get the sense, I've definitely gotten the feel that when you are a werewolf, people take notice. There's definitely a focus there.
And you're feeling that venomous smite too, right?
Feeling the venomous smite is brutal. When you're in a werewolf right now in a battleground, you are feeling this poison.
You have to have a healer, I imagine.
This poison meta is brutal on a werewolf, and that's why the healer was huge. I don't think I would play this character as a solo without knowing that I'm going to go into the match with some sort of support character, because he's got a strong heal, but it's just not enough to get through when we can get Venomous Smite on you, or getting hit with those poison. We laughed last night. Somebody hit me with the bow ultimate, but the poison version of it, and it was just lights out. I think I took 2 steps.
Or even Nightblades from stealth, they'll hit you with a snipe, which deals poison damage, and since it's from stealth, it's guaranteed crit, which means venomous smite procs guaranteed, so just one attack and you're basically already dead.
I take a lot of damage, but with the healing support last night, it really it worked out really well. It's with the healing support, this thing just shreds. And you were doing a great job with heals, and it really
the intensive mender, really.
Yeah. he was the MVP. He was the one doing the work. But it just hit so hard that it was everything I wanted it to be. It was, I mean, you usually, it's by the second rotation, if they're not like, if I didn't finish through somebody, then it was kind of surprising. But yeah, he's working out really well. It's a very simple build. Hulking Draugr. Probably the hardest thing the hardest sets that he have is Mighty Chudan, which I think is pretty simple to get. But I mean, I highly recommend it. I wouldn't say it's a difficult build to play. It's Werewolf's a pretty simple rotation. It's only one bar, so you don't have to worry about a back bar. Pretty simple sets to get. So it really came together pretty quick. But the results have been they've been pretty great so far.
Nice, man. I'm glad you're finally able to play with that, too.
And he's finally in the battlegrounds.
What we need to do is pair him up with my Magicka Warden, Lola. And you mentioned that last night, and you're totally right about that. Because my MagDen, she's wearing Curse Eater, which cleanses negative effects automatically at a regular interval. And I think that's exactly what your Werewolf needs in the meta the way it is right now. So we need to try that. My MagDen along with your Werewolf. Really, any excuse for me to log in with my MagDen, I think, is going to be a good thing for me.
Well, and another nice pairing between those two is your MagDen's wearing Spell Power Cure right now, and so it gives the major courage buff. And I actually have the Pack Leader morph for my Werewolf morph that actually gives the minor courage buff. So
nice.
we would actually be running both those buffs, which is great weapon damage to the whole team. Because the entire group would be getting major and minor courage, which is after the buffs this expansion.
Yeah, those were both buffed quite a bit.
So that'd be about 600 weapon damage to the team if I'm doing my math right.
Oh yeah, very nice.
So I think those two, I think those two would make a great pair.
Yeah, multiple reasons to get those two together. Totally. Lola. I'll just talk about her again really quick here. Nothing at all has changed since the last time I talked about her, which I think was just last week, but I've just been playing with her a lot and enjoying it so much, so I just want to talk about her again. 2 pieces, Mighty Chudan. Yep, you guessed it. Again.
No way.
Most of my support builds end up using Mighty Chudan because they have so many cool abilities that I want to use, and I don't want to waste a slot on a boring, dumb armor buff. I've talked about that before.
Yeah, I love joking with you about it, but I feel like you very well articulated your case for Chudan, and I think it made a lot of sense, especially with healers where you've got a lot going on and you've got a lot of stuff that you're doing, a lot of abilities for CC and things like that. I think that Chudan makes a lot of sense for a support character.
Yeah, Chudan clan. So 2 pieces.
Wait, have I joined this and I didn't even know? Where am I?
Nope, you're in now. Can never leave. Okay, so yeah, the MagDen. She's wearing 2 pieces Mighty Chudan, 5 pieces Spell Power Cure, 5 pieces Curse Eater. Curse Eater is just complete on the back bar with a Resto Staff, and then I have the Master Fire Staff on the front bar. Awesome build. I was thinking about this earlier too. Back before grouping was taken away, early at the very early part of this year, this was always the build that was my go-to when I wanted to play some BGs and I wasn't sure what kind of mood I was in, who I wanted to play with. I just grabbed Lola, the MagDen, because I know I'm going to have a good time with that. It's going to be easy, no problem. And now that grouping has returned, I'm finding that I'm gravitating back towards this character again. So I just think that's kind of interesting. I mean, Wardens, since their introduction, have been basically the very best possible class for small scale PvP. I don't think that has ever not been the case, ever since they've been introduced, and that's still the case now. And now that there's more coordination happening in the small scale arenas, it's just as naturally the character that I'm gravitating towards again. Although Despair, my MagCro, might be giving her a run for her money here pretty soon.
It's a challenge now. Lola is that character that, we always talk about what would be great pairs with Lola, but the flat honest truth with Lola is whoever she's paired with, they're gonna be in a great situation. Anybody that is paired with her, it's gonna be a strong combo. Just because, we've talked about this in the past. She hits so hard for a healer. Like,
that's what I love about her. Like, I call this character a healer. Like I consider this character, my MagDen, to be a healer, but she can flip to that front bar and really give you a combo that will make you think twice about focusing that healer. That's what I really like about her, and it stacks up pretty nicely because, just like you were just saying, Spell Power Cure, the major courage that Spell Power Cure provides, it's like 400 something spell damage, and then the Master Staff gives me another 600 spell damage plus my spell damage glyph that's on that staff. So when I hit someone with Flame Reach and I have all my buffs up, she has well over 4,000 spell damage, which for a Magicka build, I feel like that's pretty rare to have spell damage that high.
On a support character, like a support. I say support focus, but I don't know if she is. She's support focused when she needs to be, and then she is damage focused when she needs to be. Yeah,
she really does flip back and forth constantly. It's 50-50 a lot of the time. Totally. That's what I love about this character. And Warden, the class of a Warden has excellent sustain, and this character is a Breton, so again, excellent sustain. So like, I can just go and go and go and really never run out of resources and constantly be flipping to this offense, defense as much as I need to, and really just provide whatever the team needs at all times. She totally just carries teams. I really, really like this.
Well, and I think the great thing about her too is that, usually if one of us is playing it, we're like, all right, well, I'm gonna hop on a support character, and then the other one of us is okay, oh well, let me grab a damage character. With Lola, you don't care if I'm on a support character or a damage character. She'll fit with either one. She'll make either one work. And it's just she's such a Swiss Army knife of a character that doesn't matter who her teammates are. She's gonna make them better. She's gonna make the team work. She just really kind of works as a glue that can really piece any team together really well.
Oh yeah, and she has everything. That's what I always say is great about a Warden is they have such a complete toolkit, and whatever you want in your build, however you want your build to be set up, you're going to be able to figure out how to dial it in exactly the way you like it. It's just so easy to, like, the most difficult thing about making a Warden build is deciding which amazing ability not to slot, because there's just too many great ones to choose from.
It's gonna be a real race to see if it's Lola or Despair that hits the 1 million race first.
Yeah, I think Despair will have an easier time actually hitting those numbers, but I also think that the numbers will be kind of deceiving for that build. It doesn't tell the whole story. Lola might actually be the stronger build in reality.
Yeah, she just can pack such a punch when she needs to, and the heals are fantastic.
Yeah, Despair's damage, it's all spread out across the entire map, and she's not really focusing anyone. Any kills that she gets are mostly an accident, and she's not even aware it's happening most of the time. Whereas Lola, she can pick someone out, that's her target, and kill them.
Well, speaking of killing, I'm gonna
okay, that's good.
I'm gonna move on to Lord of Nords. That's a good
episode title. Speaking of killing.
Speaking of killing, old Lord of Nords is my StamDK, my Stamina Dragon Knight. This is the character. The Lords a Leaping. This is a character that when I gave this character the name Lord of Nords, and everybody knows how much I love Nords. If you've listened before, there was so much pressure on making this character has to be great.
You got to be great with a name like that.
Yeah, I there's so much pressure. You have to be great.
You can't be named Lord of Nords and then go like 8-6 in a battleground, right? It's not going to cut it.
Doesn't work. You need 20 plus kills. That's what has to happen with old Lord of Nords. And the secret is, I'll tell you the secrets for everyone listening. Malakath Band.
Yeah. For any build, really.
Yeah,
that's the secret for success.
But that is, and a healer, I should say. That's very important.
Yeah.
That is a huge part. You need a buddy that's healing you, and the Markarth band, and then you just kind of go nuts. This build really has, this build. I've been very happy to see the success from the build, because, like I said, with this name, you really there's some pressure to really perform. Yes. And it's, once again, this is not a really complicated build. It is just 100% ultimate generation. It's 2-piece blood spawn, 5-piece champion of the Hist, and then it actually has 3-piece potentates. So the weapon and necklace and one of the rings is potentates to lower the leap ultimate by 15%. So that leap ultimate costs this character about, I think it's 93 or 92 ultimate.
And an interesting fact about Dragon Knights, of course, they have that Battle Roar passive that restores resources when you use an ultimate. But if you use any ultimate cost reduction, well, when you use that ultimate, Battle Roar still restores resources based on the original cost. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it really works, that works out really well, especially over time, because you're casting this ultimate so much quicker, but you're getting the resources for what its original cost was. And so that's a huge part of the sustain for the build. So the potentates, and then obviously the 1-piece Markarth band. And it is just all weapon damage jewelry glyphs. And it's just, Wrecking Blow, Execute, and leaping. That's really it. You got rally up, and then you can hit him with that DK flame breath, the noxious breath. That's not bad to throw just to get a dot on them, but it's just a lot of wrecking blows.
And to debuff their armor as well.
Yeah, it's good to throw on a group, but that's an AoE that you can hit a group with real quick. But yeah, so you just throw that noxious breath out. Do some wrecking blows, and as you joked the other night, a whole lot of executioners. That executioner, he hits hard, and
dude, that executioner with the Markarth band, man, it's like I don't even know if they need to even be in execute range. I see massive chunks of their health bar just vanish. It is crazy.
It's the old Lord of Nords likes executing and he likes leaping. That's it's nice.
Yeah.
So much fun. Highly recommend this build. If you like using an ultimate and you like leaping, this is a good one.
Yeah. Ultimate build on a StamDK. I mean, that's just a classic. It's going to be a good time for anyone.
It's a great time. But he's doing damage right now in Battlegrounds, and it's going really well with him.
StamDKs are back. As long as you got a healer, StamDKs are back.
As long as you have a healer. They can't stress that enough. You need someone to keep you alive as you're wrecking.
I was playing with my StamDK Bad Sally quite a bit last week, but I haven't played with her as much this week, but I'm thinking about her. She's in my mind.
Haven't forgotten her.
She's vicious. She's like sitting there on my login screen just waiting to do some killing. So I got to log in with her here pretty soon. You got to grab your new Davius healer build.
Yep.
And
they were a great combo way back in the day, and so I'm interested to see that new combo. Now, you had mentioned this, and there might be something to this. Our StamDKs, their best pairing might be with our MagCros. We kind of both have these StamDKs that hit really hard, but they need a support. And then we both have these MagCros that kind of never die and do crazy heals with a bunch of CC and all this stuff on the ground. And that does work really well for the StamDKs because it just is kind of like you're just lining them up.
It's a good pair. And they're both slow, too, so they stay with each other easily.
Exactly, yep. But we will have to try the Davius and Sally. I think that Davius can just follow behind Sally and keep her alive as she just starts running over people.
Yeah, and I like those two together. Like, I imagine their personalities clash in some funny ways.
Sally would never admit that she likes a healer, but we know.
She thinks healers are kind of stuck up, full of themselves. Never could quite get the hang of their company.
Those snooty healers,
Yeah. Why would you heal someone when you can just bludgeon their skull in? What do you... I don't understand. I don't get it.
Look how clean you are. Man.
So yeah, that's been our week. A lot of PvP, a lot of theory crafting, and I feel like I still have a long road ahead as far as putting builds together. I have a bunch of ideas, really still just finishing putting together my MagCro. Like I do finally have all the pieces that I need, but I still got to do some transmuting, got to gold out a bunch of pieces, got to get the tri-stack glyphs. There's a lot of finishing details that still need to be put in place on that character and a few others. So
yeah, that's where I'm at too, is a lot of golding out items, a lot of transmuting, and unlucky for me. Well, I shouldn't say unlucky for me. I've just been unlucky, but a lot of Vatishran runs.
Yeah,
I've been doing a lot of Vatishran, and I'm trying to get the two-hander, and I have not had good luck. But I will say, speaking of the Vatishran arena, it's a really fun arena for anybody who hasn't done it. I don't know if you've done it. Have you done it all the way through yet?
not yet.
It is a lot of fun. Compared to the other arena styles where it's just kind of wave after wave after wave. I love this change where you actually kind of have this path and you're kind of going through and doing things. But highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. They did a really good job on that arena.
So let's move on to emails and shout outs. Our first email, writer writes in and says, just kidding. We don't have any emails this week.
I was like, whoa, first email. Oh, hey, that's 2 weeks in a row you've got me on this now. What is happening here? You know, you're going to have a real email and I'm going to think you just made the email.
Yeah, I'm a stinker.
You get to the end of it, a real email, and we're like, you just made all that up. That was not a true...
Yeah, maybe I should do that sometime. I'll write out an entire fake email, read it all, have you answer the question, all of that.
As I start to answer, you're like, no, I'm just kidding. That was all.
I'm going to let you answer. I'm going to have you give a long form explanation. Just kidding.
It'll get real emotional, unexpectedly. It'll just
we'll do a whole extended, another 2 hours of podcast to really get into this thing. Actually, that was all made up, Davius.
That was all fake. Sorry. Gotcha.
No emails this week, but if you would like to send us an email, you can email us at scrollinpodcast@gmail.com. That's scrollin with an IN, no G, scrollinpodcast@gmail.com. Send us whatever you like as long as you're friendly and polite about it. We also have a guild called Stoon's Goons. We are primarily a social guild with a bit of a PvP leaning, but of course we pretty much do it all. The main thing we do most of the time is just hang out in Discord and talk about build ideas in ESO. That's most of it. We hang out, we help each other farm for gear and just goof around, and it's a good time. I think that's pretty close to that's pretty much a podcast, right?
Yep, time to hop in some PGs.
All right, I think we're going to call it right there. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you join us next time. We'll see you then. Snap. 3, 2, 1.
Boom. That was a hell of a snap.
Oh, that was a powerful snap. There was passion in that snap.
Episode title.
I know. As soon as I said
it. You knew it. As soon as it came out. There's passion in that snap.
We're already coming right out of the gate hot with episode titles.
Boom, there it is, right there. I mean, when you hear something like that, you know it's gold as soon as it happens.
Yeah. Passionate snap is just too silly not to. The concept is absurd. Need you to snap with passion.
Your snap was a little, it didn't have quite enough passion for me.
Yeah. I noticed your snapping wasn't all that passionate. Okay.